MMA Rants and Raves UFC 123, Lyoto Machida versus Quinton Jackson. Guys, let's talk about this fight, and let's start with Lyoto Machida. I want to make a few points about this mixed martial artist, and basically people were saying, and there was truth to it, he was the least touched fighter. The least touched fighter. That's pretty incredible. He's faced some very good talent and dominated most of his opponents, was undefeated until he faced Shogun. Well, the second time. The first fight was mired in controversy, after what happened in that fight. And the least touched fighter thing definitely went out, especially the second fight, the first fight as well. He got hit a lot in that fight. And basically we saw that the way to beat Machida is to use Muay Thai. Because Muay Thai versus karate, in my opinion, Muay Thai will usually win. You got karate on one hand, which is quantity. Of course, it can be dangerous, but it's more quantity, while Muay Thai is more quality, meaning the damage that it does when it hits you, because more is put into it. It's slower and it's less repetitive than karate. But the point is, we saw what can happen. That's what made that matchup so interesting. Now, the point I want to make is, I seriously think that Lyoto Machida can make a serious run at another championship belt. Here's why. If you look at Shogun, he is basically riddled with injuries. He's a really good fighter, very talented, stylistically poses matchup problems for many, many fighters. He's one of those Pride warhorses, those destroyers that just came out of Pride that did very well in the UFC. And, he's faced monsters. The guy has faced heavyweights and has done well. Defeated really top guys. But this is not about Shogun, it's about Machida. Now, my point is, since he's injured, who knows how much longer he's going to fight. The question is, are these injuries that he's having, especially with the knees, and, they're repetitive, how much more can this guy take? And how long will he be? And hopefully he'll be here for a long time. I like watching Shogun, but the question is, can he overcome these injuries? Can he come back and fight? Now, if he can't, if you look at this light heavyweight division, it's pretty stacked, a lot of good guys, but Machida is one of the top guys. And I saw something in his game which is really interesting. If you looked at the Shogun fight, and I'm talking about the second fight, all right? He took Shogun down. Shogun, how good he is, the whole in this game is that you can take him down. I saw it in the Mark Coleman fight, both of them against Mark Coleman. In the second one, he took Shogun down so many times, Shogun was gassing. When you get taken down to that mat, that can take a lot out of you when you're taken down with ferocity like Coleman does. So, the point is that people think of Machida as this karate guy. He's really a very well-rounded fighter. His judo is really good. His wrestling is good. He took Shogun down. And if you look at, the first fight against Shogun, you would think a guy who has good judo, good grappling, maybe he'd go towards grappling, because he really wasn't winning the striking battle in the first fight. It was a very close fight, and when you have something that close, you have to change what you do. And this guy can grapple. Watch the Tito Ortiz fight. He took Ortiz down. He took Ortiz down, a decisive takedown using a judo throw, which was very impressive. If he could do it to a wrestler like Ortiz, why not Shogun? So, here's a guy that brings a multitude of skills to the octagon. And he likes his karate. He likes to do that. Some people like one thing because they're comfortable with it. They have confidence in it. If you look at a guy like Junior Dos Santos, loves to box, but here's a guy who can do other things as well. But he likes to box. People stick to what they like to do. And karate is what he likes to do. I think this guy can make another serious run at the title. I really do. I think he's one of the best guys out there, despite everything that's happened. Now, as far as Quinton Jackson, he's basically a guy with very heavy hands. He's brutally strong, has tremendous upper body strength. And I want to make a point about him as well. He's one of the only guys that I have ever witnessed that you can get him in a triangle, which for most fighters, even the best, some of the biggest and strongest, you get somebody in a triangle, it's usually game over. I mean, that's a position where you have a guy who has his legs wrapped around your neck and your head, and it usually accompanies an arm bar together because the arm gets stuck in there and you're trying to bend it, and it's a really difficult position to get out of. Most times you can't, especially if it's fully locked in. But here's a guy who's so strong, and he can take you while you're trying to get him in a triangle, physically lift you off the ground, and then slam you and reverse such a strong position, and he can end the fight. He can finish you like that, and he's done it. And he tried to do it against Forrest Griffin. Griffin knew better, and he let it go before he was going for a ride, you know? So, I mean, that's pretty nasty, you know, when you have a guy who's this strong and accompanies it, you know, with very heavy hands. You know, he can do a lot of damage. Now, of course, if you look at these two fighters, they say styles make fights, so it's kind of interesting that they say that, because the problem to Jackson is he's just not that quick. And Machida is one of the fastest fighters in mixed martial arts. So, you know what they say, speed kills. The question is, how is he going to catch Machida? You know, I've seen so many fighters try to fight this guy. He's very difficult to catch, and you saw it against the Evans fight. You know, he was having trouble with Evans' speed. And the issue is that, you know, catching up with him. If he does, he has to just hit him once if he can get him, because we know there's something that Jackson can take away from the Shogun fight, that if you do hit him, you can win the fight. You can hit him. If that's not enough, follow it up with combinations. So the key for Jackson is to stay aggressive. One thing that he does have on the side, another thing he has on the side, is that he has a really good chin. So he can take some punishment. I mean, if he took some of Machida's karate and, you know, his outside kicks that he throws, to be on the outside throwing the kicks, then he can kind of absorb them, because he's done that in the past. So he can take punishment, we know that, and he just got to look for that opportunity. The key is patience. He's got to be patient. If he's not patient and gets frustrated, he's not going to be able to win this fight. As far as the way I see the fight going, I see Machida mixing it up this time. I mean, he learned some lessons. You know, you learn a lot from a loss, and sometimes it can be like the best thing to ever happen to you. So, you know, even in this fight, you know, you would think on paper he could win it with karate. You may see some grappling from him. And if he grapples, if he tries to grapple, maybe go inside, maybe when Jackson is expecting to get hit, and instead, you know, he's bracing himself to get hit, and then instead, Machida goes for a takedown. You know, his judo is really good, and he can kind of sweep Jackson, take him down, and control him there for a while. So, you know, Machida has a lot of ways to win this fight. He has a lot of tools that he brings to the arsenal. He brings a lot of things to the table. So, you know, the way I see it, if Machida can stay outside and mix it up a bit, even with grappling, he can take this fight. If Jackson doesn't get frustrated, if he can remain calm and wait for an opportunity, you know, absorb possibly some punishment, try to get inside, you know, of course, he's going to have to pay the price for that. Maybe take as little damage as possible, get inside and try to attack and do something. He might have a chance as well. So I'd like to know what you think about the fight and the UFC 123 card. Please leave your comments below the video. Rate this video and subscribe, and thank you for tuning in.